one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Isn't it time, brother, stop dying? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one hurt, with one need, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright. Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Isn't it time, brother, stop dying? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one hurts, with one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, peace, peace, together. Peace. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to between two worlds, and well, basically chasing the shadows, and basically that's what we're doing: shadow chasing across the land. We are still trying to play catch up. It's going to be ongoing for a little bit while longer yet. We'll be going through all this through the spring and the summer, but I will say this. Thank you guys for joining us both in the YouTube as well as the Facebook chat room. If you haven't seen it, you'll see look above my page on Facebook as well. You can see it. I'm actually also on YouTube. And you can also find me on Telegram. So if you're not in either one of them, hit Telegram. Boom, you'll find me in there as well. Anyways, I'm here and very late. Sorry, guys. Traffic was crazy. Been busy doing my research. And then, pardon me. I had something too sweet, and it's called peanut butter and honey sandwich. That tastes better. Coffee. Anyways, I guess to say through my research, and I've been actually doing a lot of deep research, and that relates to let's start the word smart cities. Okay, number one, everyone knows what smart cities are. If you don't know, start to do your research, because basically what our federal government here in Canada, probably another part, and as well as other parts of the world, they actually have created a community type of idea, thinking that they're going to, I guess you say, carbon printing us, that they are basically making a statement. Our prime minister said that we, the people in Canada, are the worst in the world to basically, they're saying that we're the worst in the world, that we are causing the most pollution and carbon, I guess you say, all over the world, all over Canada. Well, when you start talking about this as a prime minister, as a government, as often as you keep on harping on it and repeating it over and over and over and over, you get the public to believe it. It's just like that when we had our lockdowns those 3 years ago. When we had our lockdowns, they kept harping and kept repeating 24/7, 24/7, 24/7, carbon footprints, carbon taxing, carbon this and carbon that. Okay. And when you keep on doing this, you get the public to believe it. Because the people, all they want to do is watch and hear what the mainstream media tells them or shares with them. And if you folks are that gullible to believe everything you see on TV, then you've missed the boat. Because basically what is going on right now, our government is not working for you. They're working for themselves to make profit. We are the slaves, and you should know it by now, and they're making money on us. They knew that from a long time ago. They had us trying to get us to believe that they're saving us and helping us, preventing things from supposed to be bad happening. Their goal was to slowly and quietly, not loudly, quietly, to eliminate population. Okay. They want to downsize our lifespan. That's what they're trying to do. Downsize our lifespan. Why are they doing this? Why do they want to downsize our lifespan? Because that was their goal, to make sure that all there is only 550,000 people, 550,000 people only to live on this earth. And those are the ones that are the elites. Those are the ones that are rich multi-billionaires. These are the ones that said, I got you all. We're going to control you in the masses, because they believed that this earth is overpopulated. No. Here's the problem, folks. We're overly populated by multi-billionaires that invest in death. Yes, that's what they do for a living. Think about it. They invest in death. They don't invest in life and living long lives. They invest in death, and they invest in yours birth certificates. They invest their money in your lifespan. They invest their money in how weak they can make you. They invest in money in the carbon footprints. They're on those boards. They're in the background, and they're all working together, making sure that you do not have the right from the World Economic Forum. They recreated this whole thing began. The World Economic Forum created back in 2018. 2018. They created this, that they were going to control us through a smart city idea. That came about a long time ago. Okay? So this is what happens. They're doing it because they want to try and take our lives away from each other. And then how they do this is how they're really good at this, folks. They can't see, the thing is, when you're a close-knit family and you stay together really close and love each other, even no matter if you're relatives or friends and neighbors, this is what they don't like. The deep state, or we call the elites, don't like this. They don't like you working together as a community because then you stay strong. And the only way they can divide you apart is psychologically creating analysis of mental problems or mental issues. So now they are training the police officers. Okay, these new police officers are bringing new ones in and telling them that they have to question us first regarding, oh, when's the last time you had a mental breakdown? Oh, there's something wrong with you. Is there? And they question you over you getting mad. If you start yelling and screaming, oh, you're having a mental breakdown. Come with me. You need to come here with me. And they take you away from your family and separate you from your family. That's how they do this. There's no weapons in your hands, but they want to arrest you and take you away because they want to shut you up because you are considered as a problem to them. That's what it is. You're considered as a problem to them because you have a voice. And if you don't let them get in your face, you just tell them, leave now before it's too late. Oh, what are you going to do? Threaten my life? No. Under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Nuremberg Code 2.0, as well as the Geneva Convention, these three, the last two, are the international laws. Even the WEF cannot do a thing about it. You warn them. There is a military waiting to come and pick you up. If you want to be corrupt and do harm to us as citizens, they're coming to get you. So as long as you think you can try and get away with this, as much harm as you want to by actually manipulating us physically, emotionally, and mentally, they're coming to get you because they have been watching you and they're waiting to take you away. They're waiting for the mistake that and I've heard some officers say, well, I'm just doing my job. No, you're not. You're scared. You're a little boy. You're scared. You're scared you're going to lose your job. That's your problem. You're not standing up with the rest of the officers. You're standing up for yourself, thinking, okay, well, I have to survive here, so I'll do the dirty job. I'll be the bad guy. Guess what, guys? Those guys that do the dirty job are going to go bye-bye. They're going to prison. Okay? They're gone. They will be taken away. They're not going to get scolded. You're gone. And I was told that. So if you think you're going to get away with this, no. You think you're well, I had to do my job. No, that has nothing to do with it. You did something crooked, and that is you broke the law yourself. The officer broke the law himself, him or herself. And I've seen a lot of these officers, abuse other people. Now, just last week, a few days ago, there was a pastor in Calgary who was with a bunch of people in a parking lot, all standing around having a cup of coffee. Must be about 20 or so. Next thing you know is a whole pile of police officers, city cops, non-RCMP, city cops, Calgary police, show up. They've seen the pastor. I don't know his name. And they walked up to him and they said to him, you're 200 meters too close to the building, I guess, whatever building is at. It's in the parking lot. It's actually in a mall, at a mall outside. They didn't actually ask him to leave. They're saying, you're under arrest. You're going to jail. And we're going to hold you there. They're going to do the same thing they did to Pastor Arthur Pawlowski. They're going to ship him to Edmonton, put him in maximum penitentiary prison, without any court. They're going to ship him there, and they're going to beat the living shit out of him. That's what your bulls do. Because you think your premier of Alberta, the new one, is doing good for you? She's just as corrupt as everybody else. Because none of these Calgary officers would have done it to go after that pastor. You think that she's covering your ass for some reason, some parts? She's still getting paid and being told what to do. She's being told what to do. You think she's not? She's being told to tell those officers, go get these pastors and to shut them up. Because God is in the way. When a pastor shows up and he's offering people a service he's not pushing it, not pushing anything to do with God. He's just there in the present. When they're handing out food to the homeless or people who need food, the Calgary officers arrest them. They arrest the people that are serving the food to the homeless. And they passed a law. Apparently, they said they passed a law. It's illegal to feed the homeless. It's illegal to feed people on the street. I have never heard that ever in my life. Jason Kenney was the first premier, and he actually was the major. Now we have the new premier of Alberta, and she is going in the same direction. Watch her closely, folks. I've been watching her because I'm thinking to myself, well, if she's supposed to be she replaced Jason Kenney, and you're thinking that she's helping you, then all of a sudden these Calgary cops show up and they arrest the pastor and take him to jail because what? He can't practice his own God work. He's in the parking lot standing there having a cup of coffee with family and friends. And I'm not talking about one officer, two officers. There are about 4 or 5 police cars surrounding him. They surrounded him like a full circle of cops. They surrounded him. I've seen the video. The people were recording this, and they're saying to the cops, you can't do this. It's illegal. The cops said, mind your business and back off. That's what they told him. They said, mind your business and back off. That's a threat, folks. Those officers aren't working for you. They're working for her. They're working for the deep state. They're still doing it. Think about it. We were supposed to be awake. We're supposed to be standing up for ourselves, but we're so freaking passive. Why can't you folks have some sort of a defense to protect yourselves? Officers of the law are not, and here's the one thing you guys need to learn to do. You need to learn about the law. Learn something about the law, about your rights. Okay? We've got, there's a website that I would like to send you guys to because it's important that you guys use this. Where are we here? See if I have it right here. Now, the website itself is called Action for Canada. Some of you actually know the website Action for Canada, ACTION 4 Canada.com. Now, there are a lot of legal advice they show you on their page. Okay. And there's one in there that called Notices of Liability, Business, Mask, Snake Bites, Testing, the whole 9 yards. Okay. It's all in there. Those that are in Canada, folks, start using this page. Go down there more often, have a look. These guys have been trying so hard to get you to see what's available. They have a step-by-step NOL to remove And now what they're working on right now is removing pornographic books and radical LGBTQ learning resources. They're actually trying to stop this from happening because now the children are being taught to have sex with an adult at the age of 8 up in schools. This is Canada, folks. This is not United States. This is not out in the bush somewhere that they're hiding. This is out in the open in front of you. Trudeau passed that bill allowing these pedophiles to take advantage of these children. Now, there are really nice trans LGBTQ people out there that are fantastic people that would never think about doing this sort of thing, ever. In fact, they're very private people. They would never do nothing to do with kids. They would actually tell you the same thing, that we don't go after children. That's not our thing. It's their only personal relationship. But even a lot of the LGBTQ people are not liking these other groups now, are realizing it's gone too far. You've given them permission. You gave the pedos a permission to use your identity to get away with rape, to pillage, to plunder, to destroy a child's mind and physical body. Do you really want this? Really? Do you really think this is a good idea? I think you guys better start standing up for yourselves and standing up for the community. And protesting is it's not just enough. You need to get into the school boards, every one of them. And there is a program actually under, there's a file here that you can actually hand them, and you can present this PDF file to stop and let these schools know. Stop now before it's too late, or you all be arrested for promotion. Because basically what these teachers or whoever these people who work for the school board, they're promoting as pimps. Do you understand? Pimping is not legal. These teachers who are pushing this and the school boards are pimping your kids. Do you understand? You haven't heard that word often enough anymore because everyone's being kept quiet, silent. Don't want to talk about it. You got to talk about it, because I'm actually hearing stories of children here in BC, locally in this area, now are being fondled and touched, and their parents can't do a thing about it because the school board won't allow the parent to take their child out of the school. And what the school board does, they will threaten the parent that if you don't return the child back to the school, that they're going to seize your child from you, and you never see your child again. They get the family services, the ministry, to take your kids away from you because you're trying to protect your child. Does that make any sense? No. So you have to absolutely make the intention, and don't go in alone. Go in as a group. When you are by yourself, somebody has to record, more than one camera. Nail the school board. And if they try to shut off these school board meetings, when there is supposed to be a microphone turned on, if they turn it off, they cannot turn off the microphone so others can't hear you. You make sure you bring a megaphone. And if that person cannot use a microphone, you get someone to bring a megaphone with them, but hide it in the bag. You bring it in and you stand next to the person to that podium. And if they turn off the mic, you pull out the megaphone. Think ahead. Use it. Right? Yes, Blair, people see in the chat room. We're all there. Thank you for joining us. That's what I'm pointing out, folks. You need to really start. And this is not just happening in small areas. It's happening everywhere. I'm in the Surrey region of Vancouver, and it's a bigger population than is actually in Vancouver. We have more schools out here, and these kids are being abused, and the school boards aren't doing anything about it. You got to stop this. Now, why is our mayor not doing anything about this? Because they're telling the mayor to mind her own business. Okay. Now, the mayor can, like another mayor, can approach, go to a judge, find a judge, and cease. Basically tell the board. If you get a judge to sign a document and you pass the document onto the school board, stop what you're doing, promoting this porn, including all those booklets that are put into schools, remove them from the libraries completely. Completely. All the schools' libraries, remove them all. Because they're promoting porn, but they're also they're actually promoting, and use that word, okay? They're pimping. Your teachers that promote this, that are pushing this, your school board's pushing it. I don't care if they're not parent, or if they're not teachers. A school board is a school board, and that's including the principal, and he or she is also responsible. That they can all lose their job and be charged as a pimp. Think about it, folks. Pimping charges, that's 5 to 10 in federal penitentiary if you're a pimp. If you're charged as a pimp, 5 to 10 the pen. I know, because I used to work at the Surrey pretrial as a counselor. And as a native court worker, I know some of my bylaws and some of my laws, so I can stand behind it. Pimps don't do short time and walk out. They're gone for a long time. They do federal time. Can you see a school teacher go to prison thinking that he or she can promote all this? They can. They can do a long time, just as much as a killer. Anybody's ever done time as a lifer, they can do just as much time. And they'll learn the experience of not, oh, I made the mistake, I shouldn't have done this. Guess what? Wake up. I'm bringing this forward to you guys. Use your noggin. Bring this forward. If no one actually has talked about this, do it. It's going to protect these people. These children are important to us. They are our future. These kids only know what they see and learn in school. It's called education. In a school, education. If there's no education being taught, the math, the spelling, the writing, history, if they're not using any of that, take them out. If they're pushing porn, if they're pushing all of this, even as a program, learn how to become gay, learn how to become trans, learn how to become this, that's not school. That's porn. You can hate me all you want, but I'm telling you straight up, I've got friends that are gay in the community. I got family members that are gay, and they understand what I'm talking about. They're the ones that tell me to say this. Derek, can you speak for us? Sure. I'm speaking for them because they don't want to be labeled as part of that group. They don't. They even hate the flag. They don't like the pride flag because that's not a pride flag. There's even a lot of people out there that are saying that flag actually is a pedo flag. So why is this flag so important, overriding all the national flags in the world? Why is it being labeled as the superior flag of all? It's not even recognized as a international flag by any means. And they're saying this flag is far better than the other. And no, even Trudeau wanted to fly the pride flag above the Canadian flag in Canada. And did you guys see? He put that flag up first, above our Canadian flag. He called it priority. You know, I'm not kidding you guys. This is bullcrap. It's got to stop. I mean, a couple years back, he was hanging, and then I got photographs of him standing next to I got a photograph of it. Him standing between two girls that are topless, and he's standing at their breasts. And there's a photograph, and he's like, "Oh, look at these," and he's smiling, like, "Look what I got my hands on." And then Krista Freeland, she's walking around with well, sorry, excuse guys, but she's walking around with those strapped on dildos and outside walking at the LGBTQ, and she thinks that's funny outside in public, and she represents our country. Are you kidding me? That's called privacy, folks. It has nothing to do with the public. And she thought that was funny. But gee, you know why? Because maybe she's one of them too. As in, she may not be a girl, and she takes great pride in how big it is. We don't know. And I got seen that photograph too. I've got the copy of it. It's all over the place. And yet we are allowing a pedophile prime minister, and we don't know how many people in the Liberal cabinet is actually the same boat as he is. As corrupt can be, and you're allowing this man to run this country. We have proven he has got away with 4 court cases of child manipulation, okay, underage, and he's paid off the families in the millions to keep their mouth shut. It's proven in court. And you still allow him 4 cases. There's still more girls coming forward yet. Still little girls that were touched by him, sexually assaulted continuously, and they're going to come forward soon. Oh, I'm waiting for that day for those girls to come forward. When he was a drama teacher, he touched a lot of them, a lot of little girls, and they're going to come forward very, very soon. What I understood, when I get my intel, there's going to be a lot of them. They're going to nail him to the wall, just like Epstein. Just like whoever else is out there. They're going to nail him against the wall. My mother would tell me this, and this is her words. I'll take my mother's word for it. I can get gross, but she would tell me one thing, and that is this: if a man goes after a little child, that man would be castrated. And he'll be one of those. They'll never touch a kid again. Okay. Yeah, the vote is fixed. Always was. We already knew that. But it was fixed while we were in lockdown at the time. The vote is fixed. Of course it is. We were in lockdown. We couldn't do anything about it. So now, Action for Canada. It says here. It says click on these links to jump directly to each of the notice of liability section. Notice of liability. Removing pornographic books and radical LGBTQ learning resources, masks, COVID testing, healthcare, child students, employees, businesses, media, elected appointed officials, church leaders and administrators, premiers and health officials, new mobility rights and travel. Okay, that's basically talking about the smart cities. And NOL further response letter templates, NOL flyers, I care cards, and videos of NOLs being served. Okay. You're handing them saying, here, you've been served. It scares them. It'll scare the companies and scare the corporations. If they find out, or once you have this copied or photographed, or more like video recorded the presentation of the file to them, they suddenly become very closed off, and they'll shut the business down, or they'll let everybody go. Either way, they know they're in trouble because you served them. And this is what has to be done. They need to be wakened up. They need to learn what they've done wrong. Okay. And that's exactly what needs to be done as we speak. Because this is what's happening. They're getting away with it, and we are allowing it. I mean, yes, you guys in the chat room are watching this. We understand you've been sharing information, which, and I really, really do appreciate what your research is, but this needs to be shared to everyone. People need to see what really is going on. They do. Because it's vitally important that we need to know what to do next. So, yeah, I know Keith in the chat room. Keith says, yeah, most politicians are compromised. Not all of them, but I will say, now you're talking about compromising, and I'll tell you why, because Mr. S. Sky or Mr. C. Sky had gone after Polyev. I will just say Polyev, but he went after his wife in a verbal way. What happened was his wife is just as corrupt as he is. And if you guys haven't seen the video, you should. He's proven himself what has been going on. He actually made a proven statement. See what Chris Guy is doing right now. He actually he's applied to be wanted to be the next mayor of, I think it's Ontario. I can't remember which city. Let's see here. He said, this is from Chris Guy's page, the real Chris Guy. He says, somebody wanted to test the information I provided. I went to my bank today, Toronto Dominion, to verify Chris Guy's viral post referencing the letter about the TD and their digital banking agreement. I showed the teller a picture of the letter from TD advising that if you agree with the digital banking agreement, that then by not responding, they will automatically consider that as a yes, that you agree to it. I pointed out to her that we have only until May 24th, 2023 to opt out of it, notifying TD, Toronto Dominion Bank. I also pointed out that it says if we choose to opt out, that we would no longer have access to our online banking nor our bank card. Okay. Now, if you don't think they fit your needs, you can refuse them by contacting us by May 24, 2023. Of you decide to refuse these changes, you won't be able to use Easy Web Online Banking, the TD app, or your tax access card, or sorry, TD access card. I explained to her that this letter was gone viral and people are talking about pulling out from the TD Bank altogether. I explained to her she wanted to verify this, so she printed out a huge policy change document. We read it over, and sure enough, the wording was identical to Chris Guy's viral posting of this same letter. Not that I, let's see here. I moved my computer and went flip real quick here. Let's see, where am I going here? Okay, not that I ever doubt any information from Chris Guy, as has been 100% correct from day one 3 years ago, but every single bit of information that Chris Guy has come out with has all come true. Fortunately, I have followed Chris from the beginning and met him on many occasions. First time I met him, I shook his hand and looked him straight in the eye and knew he was a man of his word and was 100% real deal. Unlike Max or any other politician who seldom make eye contact when shaking my hand, I asked the teller once I opt out and no longer have a bank card, then how would I access my account at the teller in person as normally as we have to insert our bank card upon arrival at the teller station? She said it's just policy changes and not to worry about it. Even after reading the paragraph in her own document, she portrayed a certain level of cognitive dissonance. I tried to explain that this is the initial stages of the digital ID and digital currency CBDC as presented by the UN Agenda 2030 and the WEF Global Reset. I mentioned that the digital ID will not only hold your bank card, but also your driver's license and your access to healthcare, as well as your ability to hold a job, as your social insurance number will also be included. In order to get the digital ID, you must be to date on all 14 of your boosters and any more to come after that. 14. You understand? She appeared clueless to what I was even talking about. I mentioned to her that I will book an appointment with the manager and provide a letter that would be either opting out or moving all my accounts to another bank. Not that will help because soon all the banks will follow, except not all banks will follow because there will be actually your credit unions are not a bank. So it's going to be a little different. So if you guys have a credit union, if you haven't got a credit union, consider that because it's not going to be the same. Credit unions have refused already to participate in the digital ID program. They already know about it because I spoke to them about it myself. I said, "Oh, I say we're going to go digital," and she goes, "No." I said, "Yes, we are." And it's going to happen for 2030 agenda. And she goes, no, 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 no. She says, I know what you're talking about, Derek, and it's not going to happen. I said, why? She says, because we're a credit union. So we're not a specifically, like basically, when you're a credit union, you're a shareholder of the bank. You're like, sure you have a bank representative, a bank manager. But the only thing is that we are shareholders. That means that the bank cannot can control our money. We have control of the money ourselves. Okay, so if knowingly, if I want to get anything from a credit union, I have no problem with it. So our credit unions are not like your common banks. Your banks, your common banks are a corporation that works for the government. Okay, your credit unions work for the people. Okay. That's how it works. So I know there are people there right now are pretty upset or worried, thinking, how come the banks are not allowing you to take your money out because they already know what's going to happen. They're really freaking out because the banks believe that they own that money. They think it's their money. Okay, what you put in there, they think they own it. You have no right to it. You worked hard for it, but they're telling you you have no right to it. And the thing is that at times too, there may not be enough money in that bank, and so there is a truck that picks up the money and hauls it to a location. So it's possible that or being in the safe. But again, there's only X amount of money allowed to be in the safe, and so there's a lot of, I guess, you say some near and misses. But the thing is that you have to really, yeah, bring them on camera, like making sure these people tell you the story, or you record it, like you have an audio recording, making sure that they know. Most of the time they won't let you be on camera, but if you have your recorder on, as in audio recording, and just say, am I speaking to the person I deal with, once they name themselves or even the first name, then you're fine. Or are you the bank manager? Yes. Okay, now start talking. I actually have I have this. I put this in my pocket, okay, just out in the open, and I talk. Now, the microphone, remember, folks, the microphone's on the top. So you can have this in your pocket face up, and all you're going to see is this, but that's the microphone. This microphone will carry 30 feet of conversation. So as long as you don't go like this or have a coat over it, you're fine. It will hear or pick up the sound. This is one of the best recorders going, is this Sony. Okay, it picks up really sharp sounds. I use this when I do my paranormal investigating work. This is the best one to use. Okay, but there are some other good ones out there. The ones that have the crisscross mics, they're also good as well. But again, like I said before, you want to get them at the right time. Let's see here. One thing I want to point out too, like I said, mentioned about Chris, his page, and there's also Chris informed a lot of people recently of Goodman's. Now, Pierre Poilievre's lawyers, they threatened him as of yesterday. Now, I'm going to share the on video. It'll be on my page on Telegram on True North Strong and Free. You can have a look at the video. It'll say above on the page, Real Chris Guy. Then it will say Pierre Poilievre's lawyers threatened me today. Now, because he did his research and he knows truthfully what Poilievre's wife has done. She actually is a shareholder. And here's that. You guys hear this carefully, okay?
Check that out, everybody. So yesterday, the head of Toronto elections emailed me trying to intimidate me from running. And now I get an email from Pierre Poilievre's lawyer, Mr. What is it? Mark Wilson from Goodman's. So I'm going to give him a call to talk about this. Basically, this is an email purporting to say that we posted false statements about Switch Health when saying Aneta Poilievre was a CEO. They did not deny everything else that we said about Switch Health being part of the Conservative Party and a lot of people from the Conservatives being members, or it being funded by a guy that probably used taxpayer money, or the conflict of interest between government contracts. But they're talking about this specifically. So I'm going to respond to the email with the actual video that shows what the chat robot brought up, all those different articles from Forbes, BBC, CTV, Global Newswire, and we're going to have them explain this. And if they can't explain it, by law, I'm not going to have to print a retraction. If they have a proper explanation or these things just go missing, then I'm going to have to make a video stating that we have inconclusive evidence, and I'm going to have to retract that. But we'll see what happens, because now we've opened up Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no denying that the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Pierre Poilievre, knows exactly who I am, and there's no denying that the political elite are very afraid of us running for mayor.
So guys, now you know, he's not kidding. You know, some people may not like Chris for what he does, but Chris is trying to, I guess, he's like all of us. You know, Chris does his research. He's trying to help everyone as much as he possibly can, but he's really into the research, just like everybody else. I mean, he's, our Canadian version of our truth seeker. There's a lot of great people out there that have been truth seeking. There's so many people that have their pages set up here in Telegram, and they're all doing the same thing, trying to show you the truth. There's nothing fake here. This is what's going on. So same thing with like, for example, there's a Bill C-11 was passed that our gun rights are being taken away from everybody here in Canada, and Trudeau did admit. Trudeau said in his admission, he said, we're taking away the hunting rifles. That's what he said. We're taking away the hunting rifles. No more hunting will be allowed. Okay, that's what his agenda was. So it's getting people to hate him more. Do you think? So now, let's see here. To get back to the 15-minute city or 15-minute neighborhood, or what do you want to call it? Someone actually sent an AI chat, and it says, will I be allowed to drive 200 kilometers a day 3 times per week outside of my zone? This is what this person's asking. And they wrote back, say, whether or not you will be allowed to drive 200 kilometers a day 3 times per week outside of your 50-minute zone would depend on various factors, including local laws and ordinances and your vehicle's emission standards and your personal transportation habits. While it is possible to live in a 50-minute city and still own and use a car, the goal of this concept is to promote alternative modes of transportation and discourage long commutes and car dependency. This means that some cities and municipalities may put restrictions on car usage, such as implementing congestion charges or creating low emission zones that limit access to high polluting vehicles, not allowing anyone to come downtown. Okay, you have to walk down. In addition, if you are driving outside of your 50-minute zone on a regular basis, you may be contributing to additional traffic congestion and pollution, which could undermine the broader goals of a 50-minute city. Ultimately, the specific rules and regulations around car usage would depend on the local context and transportation policies in place. However, if you are concerned about your ability to drive outside of your 50-minute zone, it may be helpful to look into the alternative modes of transportation, such as public transit, biking, or carpooling, and or I guess to say biking. Well, how many elders are on a bicycle in a winter season? Like they want you in the wintertime, they want these 50-minute cities. If you want to get groceries, okay, in the winter, the stores will not deliver to you anymore. And once these 50-minute cities are done, or once they start implementing them, even the stores cannot deliver the food to you. There's no such thing as deliveries anymore. Okay, because that means it's going to cost them money, or they're going to charge us money for delivery. Nothing's free anymore. Okay, it used to be where if you're an elder and you can't get to the store, then they would actually implement the way of, whatever you order, then they'll actually will deliver the food to you, and you just pay a little extra for extra gas. Well, that doesn't happen anymore now, because they don't want you for them to travel the food to you. So basically, you'd have to go get it yourself. And then again, you got to bicycle it down, and if you do have a car, make sure that you're emission free. But also, they want you to have your 16 jabs before you can actually drive. Okay, so I mean, it's like I said before, and why I'm saying all this, because this is the scare tactic. Now, I want to go further into this in a few minutes, because I want to tell you more what's going on. There are folks actually in the States. It says, hi, many of us in the United States are cheering you on in your campaign for mayor of Toronto. I'm talking about Chris Guy. For those of us who are awake and aware, you are a breath of fresh air on the political scene, telling it like it is and shining a path forward on how it needs to change. It is clear that you understand that change cannot take place without comprehending the root of the problem. If you don't see the big picture, you don't see reality, and therefore can't interact with it to change it. And there's more and more and more. It goes further, right? Because it's a long letter. But again, the folks in the United States and the U.S. are supporting what we are all doing here. So again, some people may not agree with Chris Guy's ways, whether he is a shirtless man, muscle guy, whatever, mouthpiece. But you know what? The kid's doing his best. He's letting you know what's going on, and he's giving you information well ahead. Now, how is he was able to know this? Because he's got friends that that know him well enough. Let's see, trying to find that piece that he got. Okay, there. I'm trying to find that one. See, one great advantage of Chris Sky wanting to become mayor of Toronto, but you remember too, folks, that Rob Ford is not the real Rob Ford's not with us. Okay, he's already gone bye-bye. So if you do see another Rob Ford, that's not him, because I've already seen him being arrested. I've seen the information, and that he was already by the military. They took him away. He's gone. Okay, we also here trying to get that one piece, but I don't see it. But basically he's implying that Polyev's wife was responsible. I don't see it on his. There's so many pieces on his page, but I want to go back there and share that with you guys is important because we all need to see this. Now, okay, let's go back to my page because I got more things to share with you guys. Okay, now we have. Now, okay, I want to share this with you guys, and this is important. If you guys haven't been to Telegram, I would highly recommend to download the app. Telegram is safe. It's the best you'll ever enjoy your freedom of speech. Even though that the bill has been passed, C-36 was passed, that you had no right to say anything you want to say regarding our prime minister or our whatever, okay, our pedophile minister. What you can do is because eventually what they're doing is they're going to be locking and blocking a lot of anything that we are saying free speech on Facebook or any social network. They're not going to allow us to do this because our Canada is making sure that we don't free speech. Now, Telegram is not under an American company. It's based elsewhere. So Canada cannot go after us and say, you said this and you wrote that, because that's why Telegram has given us more freedom to write what we say what we do. That's why we are sharing the truth. That's why we're called the truth seekers. We are the truth tellers. And that's why we're able to do this so much. Yeah, I know Telegram's full of scammers and spammers, but you just have to do your due diligence. Come to my page. You'll find out yourself. Go to the True North Strong and Free. If you're not sure who to find, who to trust, talk to me and I'll pass you on to certain people that you need to trust, because these are the ones that are actually will share with you the actual factual truth. Okay. Vivian said, I know 3 decades ago that the huge evil was coming soon. I know, Vivian. I'm so happy that you're one step ahead of all this. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that are blindsided, and so it's wonderful to have a person like yourself out there to give those people a nudge and a push too. Really, like, get your ass off the floor. Anyways, yeah. So basically, if you're on knowingly, download Telegram, get on and find my page, the True North Strong and Free. You'll see me in there. I have my own personal private page, but I do this page here. I made this one here. It's in capital letters, True North Strong, and the word and one little thing, and free. Join it. Like, basically, you're going to get the real thing. Now, in there, I support another page called Q School TV shows, or Q School TV. Now, the word school in the letters, it's SCHQQL. Okay, so it's QSCHQQL TV. That's where we go and we drop off information there. That's a page we go to. Now, if you want to watch it live, you'll see in the top right corner, it'll say, if it's live, you click on it and you open the page up and you get to see all of the videos that they play 24/7 of all the people that are doing interviews, truth telling, and these are people that I trust, people that have been doing all kinds of video recorded programming. And also there's actually been live. Okay, CPAC did a live program just last week or a week and a half ago when Trump came on, and all the other people that worked with Trump and all the other people that out there were all, and there was a 3 days, 3 days, 24 hours, 324 of CPAC, and informing the public, the people out there, what's really going on. And you need to know what really is going on to give you the factual truth, right? That, and one thing too that I want to also feel that you guys need to know this, and don't lose sleep over this. Please don't lose sleep over this. Don't drive yourself nuts and crazy and go, there's so much Derek's feeding me. Oh my God, I gotta lose sleep. Don't. Okay, don't. We're in a movie. This whole thing is a movie, and we are just being Here's one thing that Vivian understand. Yes, there's people they're going to spam you. They're going to try to mislead you, but you have to find it yourself. If you're not sure, ask me, ask Vivian, ask Coraline. People are in our chat room. There's some good people out there that have been sharing information in our True North page. Okay, and there's others out there that are in our page here. Catherine, let's see who else is in there. Um, uh, let's see who else did I know. Yeah, Catherine Lynn Fox. These are people that will share information. Eva. I mean, guys, it's all fantastic. Thank you for being in the chat room. You're going to see, and these folks out there have been sharing, and they're doing their own information stories. Even Zanka now's in the chat room. She's also doing her information checking. So she's, if you're not too sure, share information, talk to each other back and forth. It's important that we all communicate together like a family. That's important because I'm not just doing this whole thing alone. I got people, I got JFK Jr., I have Trump himself, his own people sending me their stuff. Okay. 107 sends me their stuff. I get stuff sent to my page into this True North page, and they're saying, Derek, can you share this? Sure. Drop it in. Okay. And if this is coming from the real people, they're dropping it because they want us to see it. Okay, anything to do with Q, and like I said before, Q is actually represents Jesus. It has nothing to do with the Q anon. This is Q. Q is actually official. It's real. Okay, um, the even John Kennedy himself, the senior, was actually using Q when he was alive. So that letter Q has been around for a long, long time. So I stand behind it. I stand with it. I stand strong with it. I've never felt so good because I thought I was the only guy alone trying, like, when we had our lockdown during the COVID times when my wife was dealing with her own cancer and I was trying to be there for her. But when there are times that I was having my time, I'm on there and I'm looking and I'm reading and looking and reading and looking and reading. I thought to myself, something's not right. Something's not right. I kept on thinking to myself, something's really not right. Even though they're saying there is the bad sea out there, but it felt like, no, something's not right. It didn't feel right. And it never did. And then when not just Trump, but other people that I knew from the military or of the military, they sent me information. Derek, you need to say this. Here, watch this video. When I saw Trudeau being arrested by the military, when I saw the video, they said, "Here, this is for you to see." I watched it. Stupid me. I kept the file, but I put it in the wrong file in my computer. I don't know why or how, but somehow somebody accessed it and got into my computer and got that file out, that audio, that video file. How they got to it, I don't know. My mistake was I didn't save it privately from a separate programming, because I could have saved it and then no one would have been able to hack it. Just unplug it from what you save, right? But I didn't. I made a mistake. But fortunately, was able to watch it twice. It was an Academy Award winning. But I watched him because, you're kidding me. He was arrested. They had him They had him on the plane, and it was military. And they scooped him up, and they said, "Well, where they take him? Guantanamo Bay." Really? Wow. They knew what he had done, and they know big because that means, like I said before, they were watching him. So, and then I guess the court case happened. They had him. They put a tracker on him. He got Das Boot. Okay, Das Boot. And then first of all, he had the tracker on around his ankle, and he wore it under his socks for a while. Then he had Das Boot because he said, "Oh, I had an injury," and I'm in boot. And then from there on, then he disappeared for a while. Remember, it said, everybody kept saying, "Where is he? On vacation? What happened? Just disappeared." Well, because where they arrested him? They arrested him on Ontario, where he was getting off a regular plane, and then they snapped him up here in Canada, and they brought him back, and they arrested him here in Canada, and then flew him back to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, and then he was put behind bars, and he was tried under military tribunal, and he was charged for crimes against humanity and many other charges. I do have the case file, that they sent me. I got the picture of it. Many of you guys may have seen the picture. Those are the case files. What he, and so, anyways, that's what happened. And so he was taken out. He was. They said that he was sentenced to be executed. So he was taken out, but to replace him, they had to clone him, or they had to get another actor to play him. So they made up a mask, and they masked him for a while. Masked this other actor who can actually do an impersonation. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Those some of the actors that try to impersonate Trudeau. Well, those are the actors that played him. They got hired by the military to do it, and they played him for the longest time. These are Canadian actors. They're the same height and size of him, and all they had to do was put on his mask to look like him, because they're really that good at it. Hollywood's good at that, making these masks. They could fool you. I'm sure you guys may have seen many of these videos that there's that so good at it that you can put a white mask on a black man's face, okay, and still look as if that black man's white. That's the way it was, that you can change a person's identity so quickly, even in race. So they had these actors play Trudeau's role, but during that time, what I understood, they cloned Trudeau's spirit, or his consciousness. They cloned it. They took all the evil out of it, and they put it into a clone. And I want to talk about cloning because what I just found out from someone who I know, she was like, I'm sure you guys may know about the UFO conferences, and I'm sure you may know of a lady by the name of Linda Moulton Howe. If you don't know of her name, she's been doing a lot of research in the UFOs for 40, 50 years. She's that knowledgeable in the work, and she's been doing this work for research for many, many years, and wrote many books on account of it. But she just last week, she was doing a conference, and I watched a recording of it, and she brought up a subject that got my attention. She talked about other types of extraterrestrial aliens that are good and others that are bad, and how to recognize good from the bad. And she showed pictures of it. But the one I got my information, what really connected with me, was when she said, in her own words, or at the time she said this, I should have brought up the file and you can watch it. But she said in there was a story about a young lady that was taken on a ship. And before she was taken on the ship, she actually was quite sick. And she was actually at almost a death's door. And this particular group of aliens actually took her on the ship, took her to this room where they took her to the cloning room. And they showed her body that looked just like her, twin of her. And it was in a tank. Okay. And so what they did is they said to her, she says to them, why does this person look like me? They said, well, you're so sick and we know very well you're not going to be able to make it. So we want to help you, and we want to transfer your consciousness into this new body. So we are cloning you. But there's nothing wrong with this body. It's healthier, and it's healthy. And so we want to save your life. We don't want to take you out of this world. We want to save you, because we know very well that you can do a lot of good to helping everybody in this world. So eventually what happened was that she did lie down on the table where the clone was, and she transferred her consciousness over to the other new body where their sick body had deceased. And so now she's very much alive. So this young lady actually is a clone, or has a clone of herself. She is in it. Her consciousness is in this clone. It does the same thing. All the things that we live by, how we move our body around and that sort of thing. So when I saw this, and I thought to myself, now, and she did say too, the question was, the girl asked me, she was, well, how long have you been doing this cloning? And they said, we've been doing it for thousands of years. And then I thought of Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Manitoba, because back in the 1950s, they're actually at the beginning, they started a cloning center. Okay. And they built a cloning center where basically where you can clone bodies, that clone people. And they've been doing this for a long, long time. This was under the guise of the military at the time and after the Second World War. And so, anyways, um, when this has happened, and then she come to terms, like she got come to terms with it, and then she actually had her clone or her body switched over to the clone, and she felt really good. Her has been feeling really good. Nothing's really wrong with her. In fact, to this day, she's doing fine. Now, when I'm trying to add two and two together, because here's what Linda Moulton Howe mentioned, that the ETs have been cloning our people, cloning humans for thousands of years. So there are clones of us besides the like I was trying to say to people, oh well, even though some of these movie stars that did wrong, that were part of a satanic organization or sacrifice of kids or that sort of thing, or anybody else that's a politician, you name whoever else was involved in all these nasty things, they're gone. But even though some of them are actually still here, I thought, here I'm being told these guys, this person was already executed, this person, another person was executed, another person was executed. All of a sudden, here they are back again on TV, but yet they don't look exactly the same. And I'll tell you why. You look at Madonna, okay, when at the Academy Awards, even Madonna herself, even before the Academy Awards, she looked way, way different. A lot of your actors and actresses are not the same people, because the baddies that were satanic, the baddies that were bad, and I won't go details into it, that were really nasty, bad, killing kids, sacrificing them, they're already been taken out. But the military doesn't want to be exposed as being the bad guys, so they have to make the switch. So when you transfer consciousness, consciousness does not carry the evil in you. Okay, you're taught evil. So they take the memory of consciousness of the goodness of your heart and your soul, and they transfer that from the body to the clone. And that's what they do. So there are a lot of people out there that are cloned. And that's why, for example, um, Hillary herself, I mean, Bill and Hillary, she's been changed over 15, 16 times, but she's a screw up. I mean, basically, this particular type of cloning is not by the same center. This is another group of baddies that they're for some, she glitches all the time. When she goes like this, and that's glitching from your being a clone. It's like robotic. But there's a difference between cloning and there's robotics. And Hillary was a robotic clone. She was not your typical clone, free spirit clone. You'll also notice too that your clones, if you want to do a heat-seeking, for example, you walk into a room, okay, I always tell people, if you ever carry one of those heat-seeking guns, the ones you use that check the heat in the house, if your pipes are hot, your wires are hot, that sort of thing. Well, there was an actor, okay, that was cloned, and to prove that this person was actually cloned, this person actually had a heat-seeking little gun, but so long, it was a flat piece, and he was pretending that he was doing some electrical current heat checking. When he went across the room, that person who was supposed to be the entertainer didn't come out red, because your machine, your gun will show redness. Anybody who's in the paranormal, even we have our friend in our chat room here, Bill Hauser. Bill will tell you, if you got a heat sensor gun, walk into a room, you can tell, when you're paranormal investigator, you can tell by the heat of the body. Our body will show up heat, like a reddish orange. When they went through the room, that person who stood there came out blue. There was no heat come from that body. Okay, that tells you that person was a clone. So if you ever decide to want to use these one day, just by some chance go to a party, or somebody may know in the music industry or an acting field, and just goof around, just bring it out and see if anybody like just bring it around. And if you see blue in front of that person, you can tell that they actually are a clone. Okay, so when they mentioned, like for example, Stone Cold, not Stone Cold, Rock, um, The Rock. Okay, Dwayne Johnson. Now, Dwayne Johnson is on that list that was executed. Okay, he was on the list because if you see some of his videos, he would always talk about eating children, and everybody thought it was a joke. No, he was serious. So he was taken away and he was executed. Now, this Dwayne Johnson here today is a lot different, way different kind of personality, a little slightly different, but his appearance is slightly different as well. But the crazy part of it is when someone took one of the cameras, heat-seeking camera in front of him, it didn't show any heat. Okay, it showed blue. So that means that this guy has no temperature. So the only difference between a clone and human, clones do not give off heat and they don't sweat. A clone will not sweat. So and even they'll admit to you. I mean, your clone will tell you the truth. They'll just say we don't sweat. And you can live to up to 300 years in your cloning body, and sometimes you may have to switch it once in a while. But the cloning body can be switched, or can live to 300 years, between 150 and 300 years. But after that, you can't be recloned over and over again because your consciousness doesn't work that way. But you can live to about 300. So, and it may feel like it's bullcrap. I'm telling you guys, this is going to happen. You're going to be shown a lot of things that may not make any sense to you. But the extraterrestrials have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. Don't forget, in the Bible itself, mankind used to live for 1,000 years. Mankind lived for 1,000 years, but there was so much manipulation by bad extraterrestrials that tried to manipulate our bodies and changed our way of thinking and our way of life. And then again, there were some other bad people. And I'm not just talking about extraterrestrials, but just some of these leaders that want to conquer the world and conquer the countries, and they basically try to deceive us through generation after generation after generation. This hasn't been going on for 70 years. It's been going on for several hundred years, that we've always been poisoned, constantly, always poisoned with poisons of sorts, poxes, black plague, you name it, even the SARS or even the AIDS, all that is man-made. They did it purposely to downsize populations. It's been going on for generations. I mean, I got the history here in my books that goes way back when the plague started. That was man-made as well, because it was to control the population. So they dumb them down so they can't speak up for themselves. When they got too smart, above the king or the royal family, or of any kind of consort, then they would actually downsize the population by having to say, here, if this person gets too smart, we're going to poison him or her, mostly him. And next thing, that person's gone, and then people dumb down again. You never had a leader to really wanting to lead, because they made sure that they're one step ahead of you, that you cannot be a leader. Even if you think about it, for example, we'll bring Louis Riel as an example. In Canada, we had Louis Riel as a leader back in the 1850s, and Louis Riel was a very smart, intelligent man. And he was leading the Métis, he was leading the First Nations, and standing up for the rights of the people in the West Coast, okay, between of Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, including British Columbia down the road. But he was standing up for the rights. And so what our government decided to do when he did, I mean, Riel did not surrender because he was losing. He wasn't losing. He surrendered because he didn't want any more his people to die. Even though the military came down, that Macdonald, who was the first prime minister, brought in the military, brought in the army and the navy to wipe out all the Métis, wipe out all the First Nations. That was his goal. He says, wipe them out, genocidally remove them all off the land. That was his goal. Okay, he wanted to wipe out the whole complete nations, all these nations. But Riel said, no, that's not right. I'll give up myself, because that's what Macdonald had done. Macdonald wanted to make sure that this man was shut down, even though he was. What happened was Riel was a Canadian citizen, and then he joined the U.S. side and became an American citizen. He was gone for 10 years. He took his American citizenship, gave up his Canadian citizenship. And then Gabriel Dumont wanted him to come back and to stand up for his people again, because they're beginning to lose faith in their lives. So Riel came back to give him a hand. Well, it went further than it was. I mean, he never gave up his American citizenship. But what Riel had done is he said, no, I'll surrender. And he didn't really think he was going to be charged and go to prison or to be executed. They thought, okay, I'm going to speak up for my rights, because he was still a governor of Lower Canada, But MacDonald made sure that he lost all of his rights. And so they used an old law of the 1300s, of the old British law, that if they label you crazy, you cannot speak up for yourself. And that's exactly what our Canadian government did. They used that old law, and they're trying to use those same kind of laws again, that we had no right to speak up for ourselves. And so they're using that mental story. When you're labeled crazy, you cannot speak for yourself. Did you know that? They're repeating that law again in Canada from the British Commonwealth. Think about it, folks. They're repeating it all over again in this country. And you guys think that we're dumb? This is a repeat of the whole thing all over again. Instead of going after a specific nation, okay, now they're going after all nations. This is who they're chasing. They want to make sure that no one can speak up for themselves. That's why Trudeau used that act of war, so that he can make it where he can be still the leader. He wanted to be the dictator, not a prime minister. He's removing the word prime minister out of his re-election, because once he gets re-elected back in, he will remove the name prime minister, and he'll become the first leader of Canada. Leader of Canada. That he will have a title, and that he'll tell you what to do, where to go. He'll make up his own rules like a king. And that was his goal when the real Trudeau was alive. He wanted to be king of Canada. Think about it. Now, whatever happened to his brother David? Where did he go? How come that man never mentioned? Because he was killed. His brother, because Trudeau killed him, because he had to be a sacrifice. That's part of the satanic group. If you want to become rich and famous, you have to sacrifice someone. So they sacrificed his own. His own mom allowed him, Justin, to sacrifice his brother. And that went on and every individual that wants to be rich and famous, you had to give up on somebody. And that's been proven. They had to sacrifice someone in the family. There was even a mother that her son overheard from another person that this one person visited them and said to them, if you want to become rich and famous, I mean, really well-known rich and famous, you have to sacrifice somebody. So who would you sacrifice? His mother overheard this, and she said, okay, you can sacrifice me. I'll die for you, making sure that you're famous. His own mother was willing to die for him. Did he do it? No. He didn't do it. But that's how far it could have gone. This is what and how corrupt these people are, whether it's in Hollywood, music industry, acting industry, political industry. Watch carefully, folks. Not everybody who's a politician is pure. Okay? And if you see some of these politicians that step down and disappear, like not want to be part of this anymore, because they knew when Jody Wilson-Raybould found out how corrupt it really was, how badly it was, like that her family was in danger, she left very quickly, because she knew that her family was more important first than anybody else in Canada. She would be willing to, I'm sure she would have been willing to give her life for her family, but not this way. And she refused to be corrupt as well. Okay. Even though she was the First Nations woman to actually sit in a position of, but she refused to lie. She refused to do what Trudeau wanted her to do, to deceive the people. And the father that raised him, so to speak, Pierre, did the same thing, tried to do the same thing with Bill Wilson, which is actually her mother, or her father, where he actually had confrontations with Pierre. Pierre and Bill, Pierre hated Bill Wilson. And he did say, Bill actually made a prediction years ago when his little girls were young. And he said that one of his girls wants to be the first prime minister of Canada. And then he said that in Parliament, right in front of Pierre's face. And Pierre said, bring her forth, or bring her to me. We'll see if she really wants to be a politician. And he said, okay, she's on her way. So as she grew up, she became a lawyer, and then she got into position. She almost became that close to become a prime minister of this country. You know, she's that close because here's two Trudeaus, which the Justin Trudeau is not a real Trudeau, by the way, because his birth father is Castro. We already knew that, Fidel Castro. But like father, like son, they wanted to play, he was going to play that role. Both of them were very, very corrupt. You guys may not realize the reason why Pierre himself, Pierre Trudeau, took a young wife because she was supposed to be part of the sacrifice. But because she showed herself having a little bit of insanity to play the role, they left her alone. She wasn't supposed to be in this world. She was supposed to be one of the sacrifices, but he sacrificed something else or someone else. So that all good. You guys may not realize Pierre is not as clean either. And I remember talking to a lot of the elders. One of my one cookum that I know said to me one time in Alberta, and she says, when before Justin was being elected or about to be elected, and I told her, said, and I said to her, there may be another Trudeau be elected into government, and she goes, I wish he, and she said, he shouldn't be. He says, because if he's like his father, it's going to be really bad, even worse. And she was right, because she remembers what Pierre was like. Pierre was nothing but a racist. He hated First Nations people. He hated them with a passion. He hated all First Nations people. You know, I can honestly say that no psychic would ever be able to withstand being in the same room with Pierre Elliott Trudeau. I was at 15 and thought I was going to be sick. I know. Vivian, I feel so sorry for you. I know. You know, you're standing next to Pierre, and I stood next at the age of 11. I stood next to Queen Elizabeth's sister. They were planting trees. I was in Brandon, Manitoba. I was at the university, and they were actually planting some trees. They're doing a tree planting because the university was just finished being built, and I was there to help and as a volunteer. And one of them was going to hand me off to the sister. Said, "You want to come and help me?" And somehow my body trembled. I didn't feel good. Something in my head said, "Me, get the hell out of there now. Go, run away." And I didn't stay. I ran away from her. And there's something about her because I looked at her eyes at the time when I was a kid, and you just know your gut, your body just felt like run. All I felt was at late age of 11, run. And this is back in 1960, 66, 67. Yeah, you just know. That was that year, 66, 67, when they planted that tree at the university in Brandon. Just have a look. I'm not sure what I think it was 66, but I remember standing next to her. Like I was right close by, and she reached out for me, and they were gonna, hear. And I was standing next to the tree, and I just freaking ran, and I never looked back. I don't know what it was. I was so scared. And I ran behind the building, and I got them looking at me like this, staring from a distance. And I wasn't sure if they're going to come after me, but I ran away. I ran home. Like, no. So what happened from there on? But there were a couple of kids that were there, and I didn't see them after that because I was looking for those kids after. Couldn't find them. The ones that I came with, I wasn't. They were from another area, another school area, another residential school, and I was in one direction. I went that way, and they were still there. Then when I left, I came back looking for them because they're supposed to wait for the bus or whatever to go back, and they weren't there. So I don't know what happened after that. So whether they disappeared with her, or again, don't forget, folks, reptilians, right? Or sacrifices, that sort of thing. When I was about 8 years old, Blair said this, when I was about 8 years old, my family was in Long Beach on the island when Pierre Trudeau landed on the beach in a helicopter to go surfing. There's a picture that surfaced around the internet. It's a picture of me and my sister Pierre Trudeau and someone else in the picture, and he received flowers from my older sister, and I was proud of that picture, and I'm now disgusted by it. Uh, here, here's, innocence doesn't know, Blair. Innocence doesn't know. We don't know. Like as a kid, we're believing what is true. We're believing that it to be proud of. Like people said, oh, the queen's here, bow to her, or curtsy as a girl, curtsy to her because she's a queen. I had no interest in bowing or whatever to anybody. I mean, my mother said, I'm not going to bow or curtsy, or she says, I'm not going to bow or curtsy to anyone. No one tells me how to live my life, and no one's my leader except my family. And yet, and here's the thing, people may not realize this. Canada may have had royalty here, but the Queen never owned Canada. She basically stole it. And it wasn't her, it was actually the Rothschilds, and she is a Rothschild herself. And they took over, they bought the country, they took it. And so she represented the country, but nothing more. And they gave her power for a while until 1972, and they took that power away from her, and they sent her home. And she used to open up Parliament at one time when she was in government. She used to open up the Parliament and being there, and but now she doesn't open up Parliament. Why was she not opening Parliament? Because she was not important anymore. So she became a figurehead, but nothing more. You know, um, and it is hard, Vivian. It's hard for everyone. Anybody's ever been close to these kind of people that were evil. We didn't know as innocent people, but you know what? A child knows. A child knows when something's not right. You freaking run. And I dealt with this twice. And dealing with a Ouija board in Brandon when it burned in front of me, in front of, like, I was with a bunch of kids. We're doing a birthday party, and they got this Ouija board for this twins brothers. The two brothers got a Ouija board for their birthday, and there was a Jewish boy that said that's a book of the devil, book of the evil, and so the two boys didn't believe him, and they'll say, "Well, prove it. How do you prove it?" So the kid took his Star of David. He had a crucifix. And he says, well, if you're the devil's board, you'll burn. And if you're not a devil's board, you'll be fine. So he laid the crucifix, Star of David, on top of the board. And we can smell sulfur. We watched smoke come out from all four sides of the board. And one of the kids, or one of the brothers, shoved the board across the room. And the whole tabletop was black underneath it, like as in burnt into the wood. I was up and gone. I was out the back door, because we were in the basement, out the back door, and I ran home. I never looked back. Never went back to the kid's house again. Never. You just know as a kid when there's something is not right, and your innocence, you can't fight back. And as a kid, you can't fight back. You try to overcome the fear. You try to overcome. You try to, you don't want anybody to know what happened to you. Like, I didn't want to tell my mom and dad about it. I kept quiet. I kept silent, but I thought it was normal, you know? So I think pretty well almost every kid in our lives have witnessed at least one time in our lives evil, and I've dealt with it three individual times in my life, that there's horrible things, or even more than that actually, but not, I mean, as a kid twice, and growing up as an adult, I've dealt with it, but I was able to confront it, you see, because as an adult, I was ready, prepared for it. But these other two previously as a kid, like, if you witness somebody being, say for example, as a child, if you witness somebody being raped in the street, how can you stop that bad person from raping that girl or beating on that girl or anything really? You're just a kid, and yet you'd feel guilty after that girl gets whatever badly happened to her, and you carry the guilt in your heart thinking, how come I didn't help? You're a kid. But you see, the adult would understand, that girl who got hurt, she'd understand that that child could not do anything about it. Even they'll say run away or tell someone. You can tell someone. In the time of when I was young in the 60s, when I was run away, even look for a police officer, that police officer never would have showed up to help that girl, because back in those years, they believed that girl that got raped was a bad girl anyways. They call her a slut. So a woman never had her respect from any police officer, never had respect from anybody in government. She was considered as a piece of dirt. So, this is the thing. I mean, today it's different, but back in when I was young, a lot of abuse took place. And so we have to really learn to stand up for ourselves and tell that child, whether he or she has witnessed something really bad, that it's not their fault, that they couldn't help. If they witnessed it, they were at least a witness, and we would never forget that day, because when they grew up as a young adult and that person's still around, that they would know them or know of them. As an adult, you come up to them, you tell them, I remember that story when I saw you get hurt, da 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 da, and then they're going to say, it's not your fault. You were just a kid. So, Corlin says, in the 1960s, Queen Elizabeth came to Chemainus and she had lunch on the golf course, which was only about a quarter mile from my home. I was only 16 years old. Yeah. People don't realize how crazy things are, in life. Let's see here. Travis says Kanye West said recently, watch how they cloned me. Yeah. Kanye West wasn't stupid. And he already knew he was actually cloned. Because the real Kanye West, when Kanye West was being open and trying to tell the truth, this is what happens too, folks. When someone's trying to expose the cloning people or the bad guys, suddenly that person disappears. They don't. You have three choices in life. They either kill you or say you commit suicide. Now, recently, I've been seeing so many newsreels. Just even tonight before I got on the show, I saw about a good half dozen newsreels, and half dozen of them were young actors and entertainers, and all six of them actually supposedly said they all committed suicide. They're found on their bed dead in their 20s. Not heart attacks, not, they just said found them on their bed dead. Or they find them, or they said supposedly, they said they found drugs laying next to their body. What does that tell you, folks? Those are called murder suicides. There's still people out there that are actors and singers that are trying to get out of the industry or trying to expose the truth, and they were killed for it. Okay. Now, how can they get away, or how they be protected? Well, here's what happens. Most likely, all six of those actors or singers that's supposed to have died with finding pills next to them on their bed. Because why is one in one bed, another person another bed, another person another bed? Why all of a sudden these are deathbed pills, and I call them murder suicides? But why are they all found dead on their bed? And why now? Because they are probably under protective custody, and they have to make it look like as if they died. So most likely what's going to happen, they will come back, and if they haven't really died, they'll come forward. They're probably in, like I said, they're protective custody. They're being hidden away until things calm down or cool down to the point of catching these guys for what they were supposed to try to threaten their lives and say, well, if you expose me or expose us for this, we're going to come after you or to come after your family. It's the only way they can actually stop them from actually threatening your family or you through your family by using your family. Then you have to do something or pretend you do something to yourself. Then you can disappear, and you disappear. And so you say, well, that person committed suicide, or that person accidentally shot himself, or that person fell out or jumped off the roof, or that other person, whatever. I've heard stories of people actually supposed to be hang themselves on the coat hanger on a doorknob. And they're supposed to believe that? You find yourself, you commit suicide on a coat hanger, with a coat hanger around your neck on a doorknob. You can't hang yourself, but they believe the public will believe that. But there are some actors that played that role did supposedly say they hung themselves on the doorknob with a coat hanger. Now some of them are coming forward after a couple of years, which I've seen. Funny as all heck, which is fine. New name, new personality. One is, yeah, Marilyn Monroe was one of them. But Robin Williams. Robin Williams was supposed to have took a coat hanger, hang around the doorknob, da da da. Well, I just saw a video, not just saw a video, a couple years ago I saw this video where Robin actually came forward and said he's still alive. But um exactly, Vivian. That's just, it's just basically making the people believe that you can actually hang yourself but on the doorknob with a coat hanger. You can't. Not that easy. But I mean, they've done it. There's actually another actor in Taiwan. He played in a movie called Kill Bill. I'm sure you may know who this is, David Carradine. He said he was. They found him naked in a closet with a coat hanger around his neck, in a closet. Well, number one, why would David Carradine put a coat hanger on his neck when he's actually getting ready to do another movie? Which he said, I'll see you next week. And he was all looking forward to do this movie. And they said, oh, well, and then when they did supposedly find his body, they said, oh, well, he was with a whole bunch of girls and he abused them. Da, 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 da. Well, that's not David Carradine, because we already know David Carradine is a very passive fellow. He would never harm anyone, but they had to, because David was getting out of the business. He wanted to leave the bull crap that they told him. If you expose us, we're gonna get rid of you somehow. So he had to do something ahead of time, to protect himself or protect his family. And that's what a lot of these actors and singers do. They will protect themselves by having to pretend a suicide or an overdose. Okay. Even the late Art Bell, he is still alive. He's coming back. I mean, he actually is back now. He's wearing a mask. He's playing a radio talk show host right now as we speak. Late night, just like George Norrie. He's not George Norrie, but George Norrie is like George Norrie stole his place, which George Norrie was placed there for a reason, to steal his place. Okay. But Art had to hide, so he had friends in the military where Trump took care of him and helped him. Okay. Trump listened to a lot of his shows, and he knew, and basically there was a show that Art was actually, he had actually new people come on his show, interviews, that they were exposing the truth out there. And I guess that one night when the truth was being exposed, Art had got messages from people saying, keep your mouth shut, don't talk about this, da da da, da, or someone's going to you're going to get killed, or they're going to come on and start shooting bullets through the door. Well, one night, Art did say, or friends of mine told me, that someone drove by with a machine gun, not a regular gun, machine gun, and went all over the whole house where he lived in Pahrump, Nevada. Shot bullet holes right through his door when he was doing his radio show. Down the ground he went. And they wrote him a text message saying, that's your warning. Keep your mouth shut. So Art had to find a way to protect himself. So he faked an accidental overdose of saying, oh, I'm really sick. I had a heart condition. And oh, I had a cold or a flu. And oh, I took all these medications. And okay, he had to do this to protect his family. Now, why I'm saying this, because you're going to see, okay, and I know where Art is, or of where he is, but he'll become forward later on in the future. Because I mean, let's put it this way, No, Keith, you're not going to lose your damn bus. You just drive the damn thing. Have fun with it. Go all over the country. Okay. Anyways, you make me change the subject because of your bus. But anyways, what I'm trying to point out is that art, like I said before, folks, years ago, back in 2003, on 1410 CFUN, my show that I put on the radio station, 1410 CFUN, I had a show called Between Two Worlds. I was doing my psychic stuff on my show at the station, and I was on an hour before Art was. Okay, I was on at 8, Art was on at 9, and he came on through all the streams, and so that's how connected I was. And there, a lady friend of mine, um, or became a good friend with, and she called me up on the phone and she said, "Derek, you need to start doing internet. Do your show on internet." And I said, "What's this all about, internet?" She was really seriously, you should be part of the internet. And she says, I'll introduce you to some people that know Art Bell's knows Art Bell and other people that are connected. So I I made contact with them, and she introduced me to them. By the way, and I didn't make she got me introduced to them. So I got introduced to the guys, Don and Doug Newsom uh, from the station, and they Don was really super cool guy, and he wanted me to be part of the station. So I joined up and tried out, see what works. A lot of people were following me on doing internet plus radio at the same time, and I was streaming back in 2003. I was streaming live, which it was just beginning to the ether. I mean, Art was doing the same thing. He was actually going on camera in the studio, going live in the studio, and whoever actually is able to see him through the satellites were able to see him in the studio. And so I was doing the same thing from my own home. We were starting a whole new idea of doing streaming live in year 2003. So, anyways, I remember hearing. I mean, Art. I mean, Ariel, her name is Ariel Louise. It was a good friend of mine, and she's the one that, like I said, introduced me to Art, or to Art's wife. I mean, Art's wife, first wife. They were good friends, and Art. She wanted me to introduce me to Art and to come on his show to be interviewed. As a medium, Art refused because Art doesn't like to read or get readers or mediums to come on his show. He says because a medium's a medium, they're all the same. Why would you bother? Da, 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 da. So he never bothered. Now, after Art's supposed to be gone, then when George Norrie came on, he was bringing on all kinds of mediums on his show. In fact, he actually invited Sylvia Brown on his show. But instead of George inviting her politely, he humiliated her on radio, trying to get the public to believe that she was a fake. Now, I knew her, Sylvia, because her agent used to call my place, and now I would conversate back and forth with them. We all knew of each other in our work. And Ariel, or not Ariel. So, anyways, Sylvia Brown came on George's show, and George just cut her down. In fact, George even cut her off half of her own interview. He never had her on any more than 15 minutes, which is wrong on his part. Not even that. And he just tore her up and said, she's nothing but a waste of time, and she's a fake and a fraud. But George had no proof. But he was going to go off and just tangentially try to destroy reputation. Thing is that reason why he did that, because I strongly believe that she had something on him, something that she knew, but she told him that he did not want nobody to know. So he had to find a way to stop her. And so what happened was, Sylvia was actually, her last performance was on stage, and Sylvia was going to expose the truth about certain people because she was around Hollywood a lot. She was doing a lot of Hollywood shows or Hollywood people, and she was good at it. She was good at what she did, and she was getting very, very famous. But she refused to join the satanic group of people that approached her. And I guess the way I understand it or understood it, that she was going to expose them one night. She got on the stage, and suddenly she went into she got a heart attack. I mean, literally, she instantly she died. And someone said to me that they were there to see her performance. They said, but they saw a red line go across her chest, her body, from a distance in the back room, and there was a red line. And then suddenly she died of a heart attack. Well, that's called a heart attack gun. So I believe they silenced Sylvia Brown. I believe that she was murdered because she was going to expose some people. Now, whether she was, whether she wasn't, but this is what they told me when they were there. So there are some interesting people that us on our field, we take a lot of chances when we exposing things or telling the truth and you're telling the stories. There are even people like us as readers, we're given a responsibility, whether we choose to do the job or not, to let the people know what's going on. Now, people will probably say, well, why did he say that Sylvia was murdered more than actually having a regular heart attack? I strongly feel that she was taken out sooner than she was because she was engaged to get married. She actually was she was going to get married that week. I think it was either that weekend or weekend after. And suddenly she died. And she was so happy. She was looking forward to get married, to be with this person that she's always wanted to be with. So it didn't make any sense. But I knew then, I held on to that memory for a long, long time. So you folks tonight are the first now to know that I feel strongly that Sylvia was taken out in a wrong manner, and she gave her life for a reason. She gave her life for God because she always believed in God. She believed in prayer. She believed in God. She believed in a higher source. And in spirit world, we'll always be back to do something else. We'll always be back to keep on going. And she died on stage. She was actually doing a performance, and then suddenly she just down like real quick. Like someone said, they saw a red line from a back room forward, and it's called a heart attack gun. So somebody from a corrupt military area just took her out because she knew stuff that didn't want her to talk about. Don't forget, a lot of books were written under her name, written by her. Over 28 books. She had written 28 books, but she had a lot of ghostwriters that did the books for her. But whatever she wanted, she was busy. And she had to get on. In fact, she was one of the original ladies back in 1984. She predicted, okay, that in this time of 2019 and 20, there was going to be a big V, and it's going to happen. It's going to take out the people for a couple of years. She made that prediction, but she said, and within 2 to 3 years, it'll all go away. And then she said they're going to try to bring it back for about another 10 more months. And then after that, it's gone. That was her prediction. And she wrote that book in 1984. Okay. So she knew. She was a darn good remote viewer, and she was good at her predictions. So she's not a fake and a fraud, folks. It's written in her books. I'll stand behind her. I remember watching her challenge the amazing Randy, both her, James Von Prague, and Char Margolis. All three of them were together being interviewed by Larry King. And the James Randi was on there, who actually who's against psychics, and I call him the psychic stalker. And James Randi was out to destroy all the psychics and mediums on Larry King's show. Like, oh, you're faking frauds, and prove it. I'll challenge you. I'll give you $1 million. You can prove that you are good at what you do. Until one of the ladies said to Larry King, ask Randy if he really has $1 million that he would give away if we did pass the test. And Larry said to Randy, it's on video. Randy, do you have the money? Do you have $1 million? Randy said, I'll get back to you on that. So as I tell you, even he lied. But then someone else gave him an idea for people who don't like psychics, anybody who wants to donate to his new foundation, to donate $1 to, basically he was raising $1 million. Then he did the challenge to all three of them, including James Ron, even including John Edwards. And they went in other mediums too. And the other went to his little hangout and they did the demonstration. They did pass the test. And Sylvia passed the test 100+%, passed the test. Did Randy give her the money? No. He didn't. He laughed at her and said, I'll see you later. And so anyways, last year, I believe, Randy died. So no more psychic stalker. But his followers may try to carry on his own work. We'll see. But I remember him going around trying to make up all kinds of crap. Now, Randy himself is a magician. That was his profession as a magician. So he loved to destroy other people's lives to make himself look good, because he knew he was failing he didn't want to do magic, so to speak. But he actually was hired by Alice Cooper, and my friends that are in the music industry knows this. He was hired by Alice Cooper to set up all Alice Cooper stages, okay, to do magic staging. Okay, so anytime Alice wanted to cut off a finger or a head or whatever have you, that was Randy's work. Randy did that for Alice Cooper and a few other singers on stage. Anybody who's actually doing this gothic head cutting, eating bats, the whole 9 yards, that was all Randy's work. Okay, yeah, he was a pure jerk. He was bad. I mean, you take him aside without talking about psychic stuff, he's fine. You bring the psychic stuff up and he just humiliates you. He tries to humiliate. You think about it, going off the handle and going like, yeah, okay, fine. Whatever. Anyways, let's go to this one more time, folks. So, and one more thing I want to say. Smart City is not going to stop, because I was watching a video as of today. There are people out there right now in the UK, because they've already got smart cities already been set up. Over 30 plus smart cities areas in the UK have already been set up. The people don't like it. The people are being picked on. The police now are saying if you leave the smart city area that you're being arrested and taken to jail. They want all these other things. Don't forget, folks, they want you to have 16 snake bites by the time they're done with you. By the time you won't reach 16, you'll be under the ground. So the people out there now are in the UK as we speak, and they're protesting about the smart cities, and they're saying that's not right. Yes, Mick, you're exactly right. That's 1978. Welcome to my nightmare tour, The Amazing Randy. You got it, my friend, because that's who Randy actually was hired to do his nightmare tour. Thank you very much. It was back in the 70s. So I'm not far off. I was right. So anyways, like I said, folks, the smart city thing, the people protesting, so support them. And if we unknowingly, we're going to have, and same thing in Edmonton, they've already started Edmonton already. They've already started in Toronto. They've already barricaded with a lot of the food sources now in glass, behind glass. There's cameras hanging above every door. So if you don't have your little trusty card, and if you're not fully snake bitten, then you can't get any access to any food. Now that's Walmart's, Sobeys. I don't know of any other stores. Okay. Now there are other mom and pop businesses. Now we'll repeat this again. There are other mom and pop businesses that will not follow their rules by the government. There will be food available to buy from them. But I will say this, folks. This is, remember, I told you guys from the very, very beginning. I don't know how they're going to try and do this, but they're going to try somehow to use somehow an idea of EBS. Okay. And if they weren't going to do EBS, they're going to try something else to keep you from getting your food unless you are fully snake bitten. And I would say don't fall for it. Don't get snake bitten at all. Still fight for your rights. You don't have to do that at all. Okay. I know, but if you see the videos in the UK right now, they're telling you right now it's happening to them as we speak, and there's very little amount of food. In fact, they've taken the meat off the shelves. Nobody's allowed to have any beef. No one's allowed to have any kind of meat, not even chicken. And the chicken and the beef in the UK now is way tripled. It's more money to get your meat in the UK than anywhere else in the world. But here's my advice. Anybody living in Canada, if you guys are able to cross the border, get your asses across the border, get your food there. Because I got friends that sent me their TikTok, and it's so funny. They sent me their TikTok and they went shopping. And they went to a shopping store in the UK, or in the UK, sorry, in the United States. And they walked into the big shopping center and they're in the meat section. And one guy, actually, his wife said, honey, look at this. And there's a whole package of drumsticks, chicken drumsticks. She says, guess how much? $4. Not $4 a pound, $4. Okay. And their husband says, just a minute, look at this. And big, huge, like it's a huge tube of hamburger. He says, guess how much, folks? Guess how much, honey? $2.75. Not $275, $2.75. Okay. And so they thought this is a joke. No, it was real. The meat is cheap because this particular store is not following the smart city way, because the United States was going to go smart city as well. Not just Canada. It was going to happen to the US. So a lot of people now are crossing the border to get their food, and Trudeau, okay, is going to try to keep you from leaving the country to get your American food. Because he'll say you have to have this, this, and this, or else you will be not allowed to get anything. You can't get this, you can't get that. No, here's how it works, folks. If you need fuel, go across the border. If you need food, go across the border. If you need anything else, go across the border. Bring it home. Okay? If the government's going to try to fine you, saying you use up all of your carbon trafficking, whatever, carbon footprints, screw them. They are not God, and these WEF people, okay, they're not the leader of our countries. They're not. They're telling you, they're called the World Economic Forum or the World Economic Summit, and they are there for one reason: to take the food away from you and starve you to death. These are people who are part of a satanic organization. These are the multi-billionaires. These are the people that are connected to the Fourth Reich. Okay, the Fourth Reich. This is all part of Hitler's people, and Schwab is the follower. He's one of them. Trudeau is the follower because his wife is. She's the granddaughter of him. Okay, not Schwab, granddaughter of Hitler. So you're going to come across all these people. They're going to try to control you. Everybody that you've seen that are supposed to be all the leaders of the WEF, they were already taken out. The original ones were already been executed. Okay? So all you're seeing, folks, is the movie. A movie. Just learn to stand up for your rights. And I'm not just saying sit at home and watch. I mean, if you're able to, get your ass out there. And if you find other groups of people that are actually out there protesting, be there with them. You're not going to go to jail. That's just a big threat. They're going, oh, yeah, if you come here, you're going to be fined. And no, they can't touch you. They can't. You have to give them the warning. Make sure those forms are available. Okay. So like I said before, folks, it's important that you actually stand up for your rights and make sure you have these particular programs available for yourself so that you can actually say, enough is enough. We don't need you anymore. Because eventually, what's going to happen is that all of I would say August. I would say August. All your politicians are going to be exposed, majorly exposed. I mean, actually, all at once. And it's going to come boom, 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 boom. Okay, they're all going to be exposed of the truth, what they've done wrong, and then you're going to see the truth, and then everyone's going to basically what's going to happen. Certain people are going to come forward and said, "Now you know what we're talking about." But we're still going to have that EBS one more time because you still have to see who really was arrested, who really did time and who did life in prison. I'm not talking about federal, provincial. I'm talking about military time. You're there for life, your life forever, or those who are taken out, gone bye-bye. Okay, I'm not kidding you. This is all for real, folks. This is not a game. This is for real. It has our countries, our world has been in conflict for thousands and thousands of years, and has taken Trump and his special forces, not him alone, but all kinds of people with JFK Jr. and Kennedy Sr. and many others, Elvis, you name it, whoever you want to say yes or agree or no agree. But the fact is, these guys have been watching, okay, and are there to keep an eye on things to stop this from happening, because we're going to have a better world. I'll predict this by next year, and I will say this, folks, by next year, 2024, I'll say January, there's going to be some major happy surprises. January 2024, major happy surprises. The whole world is free, and but we're all going to be able to afford so many things, even more than ever, where nobody's going to be starving. This is my vision. No one's going to be starving. People are going to be even the homeless are going to have a place to live. Money will be available for everyone, every way of lifestyle. It's not going to be, if you think it's going to be worse, no, better. And everyone's going to be able to afford a home. People will be able to afford to live in a house, not just small buildings, little cabinets, little shanties. No, houses that you choose, that you want to buy. Your $5 million home will turn into a $50,000 home, or a 500 million, whatever. But the fact is that your gas, I'm seeing your gas. I had a dream about this. I saw gas go down from whatever it is today. What I hear in Canada, it's average 175 a liter. I would say it'll go back to about 50 cents a liter, or even less than that we can afford the fuel. Our vehicles will be able to be more affordable to buy. They'll be built better. And we'll still have gas-fueled vehicles, not electric vehicles, gas-fueled. You choose. You can make a decision whether you want to be gas-fueled or electric. If you do, it's going to be under a true Tesla, not the one you see now. A true Tesla vehicle. Better, well-made. Our computers, our cell phones, like even the cell phone I have right now, this Android, I already know what we're going to have that's better than that one. And once that comes out, once it's available, I think it's going to be available now. Once that comes out, once it's introduced to everybody, you guys can be turning to that phone, because that phone's going to will be able to do many things. Many things. There's no putting graphs on your back of your hand to get passed into a building. You're not going to be having to worry about digital cash or digital money. No, you will still have cash. You're going to have gold and silver in your hands. It's going to be gold and silver is going to be the main income and seller. That is your main true money. Okay, gold and silver. It's coming back to the reality, because I don't want a digital money. I don't want digital. I prefer not to, because it's too convenient to give up something. And why should a bank control what we're allowed to have or not allowed to have? Because, for example, my wife's online. Yes. Here's my wife, Marie. She can say the same thing. She can give you an agreement. We've had some money suddenly disappear at our bank account. Why was it taken out? Taken out, and our bank even denied the fact it was their fault, even though it's not us that took that money out. So they had to fix it, but we had to be diligent to bug them till they finally fix it. Even though they kept on saying, "Well, it's your fault. You're the one that." No, it wasn't our fault, because they're blaming us because of our age. Now, if we're in our 20s and 30s, oh, sir, we'll take care of it. But if you're an elder, oh, well, maybe you forgot. No, we don't forget. We got damn good memory. We do remember. We're not stupid. We're not old folks that are stupid. We're very much aware of what's going on in our surroundings. So I'm pointing this out because, folks, we're not losing our memory. We're forced to lose our memory. So stop taking the bloody snake bites. Smarten up. You don't need them. I'm still watching people. My wife, when she sits with me when we drive, we still watch people driving with masks on their faces. The driver is still wearing a mask, and there's nobody in the car but the driver. What? And that person's not even Asian. Like normally, most of the time you see this person's Asian, Chinese, Japanese, mostly Chinese. No, that person's South Asian, white. They're still fearing that they have to hide behind this. They think that alternative mask is the answer to survival. Are you kidding me, guys? Does that make any sense? No. But that's exactly what's going on. It's still there's still that little left over those folks out there. They're having to wake up. Wake up, folks. Remind them those masks are not meant to wear all day. They're only used for dust, temporarily, and or surgeries. But nothing more. And they're only meant to be worn no longer than an hour, because in fact, even doctors will tell you, it says recommendation no longer than a half an hour, because there's a chemical that's in that paper. And if you breathe into it too long from the mouth, you're breathing in the chemical in your lung. I know you know what, Eva? A lot of young people are wearing those masks now. They like to hide behind them. So they don't want you to identify them now. And they're using this to actually go into restaurants or to stores and steal. I've seen people wearing masks go to a secondhand store, whatever have you, and they steal clothes and walk out. And you don't see their faces because the cameras are on them, right? So they have to make it where, again, no one's allowed to wear masks in a store. Even in banks, you're not allowed to wear a mask in a bank. And you're not allowed to wear a mask in a hospital. Our BC hospitals here in Canada are still wearing masks in the hospital. Hospitals are still telling people, if you don't wear a mask, we're not going to help you. We're the only ones in Canada that still have that, following that rule. Who's telling them about the rule? It's the board. The board are not doctors. They're investors. Okay? They still want to make you think that you still, what if there's still more in the end? Oh, what if there's still more? Come on, give me a break, guys. You know your freaking research. BC has the highest unemployed doctors and nurses. They fired so many of them because they refused to get snake bitten. That's why they're short on doctors and nurses and caregivers in the hospitals and the clinics, because they refused, and they've already are awakened. They already know. But you guys understand, they're still, how many of you actually out there still see people wearing masks? How many people are you still out there and they're going, what if, or my arm hurts after I got that one. Oh, my arm still hurts. Oh, I have this outbreak, or or I don't feel good ever since my head's, I feel like I'm brain fog. I just can't think anymore since I got this shot in my arm. That make any sense? Yes, the price of fuel, Keith, is going down to almost, I would say, from the year 1955. That's how low your gas fuel would be. It'll go that low from the year 1955. That's how low your gas fuel will be worth, lesser than you'll be able to afford to drive. You travel anywhere you want. So it's going to happen. All this is going to do well for all of us next year. You guys are going to be so happy. And in time, like I tell, like I said, my dad would say, everything is a fad. It's all a phase. And it's true. This whole thing right now is a fad and a phase. The government's trying to see if they can hang on to scare the shit out of you for what's left of it. And there's nothing left to do. There isn't. They got nothing more on us. They can't do anything more about it. So it's time, folks, and what I like you guys to do for me, if you can, please like and share on my YouTube as well as my Facebook. If you want to click on the little hand and say, yes, I like this show. And I don't ask for money. That's not my interest. My interest is actually making sure that you share and share this everywhere or with everyone. Also, too, if you actually get on a chance to go on Telegram, join Telegram. Download the app, Keith. Download the app, Keith. And don't worry about your phone number. They need your phone number because that's how they identify you, that you're really, truly Keith. And you don't have to give no money away, nothing. You don't have to buy nothing. You just download the app and then you create your own little page, just like everybody else, like they do Facebook, like a social network. But you're doing a Telegram page. And the thing is that you get to visit all kinds of people that are truth seekers. Okay. And if you're not too sure, find me on the True North Strong and Free page. Go in there. Derek, I'm looking for you. Hey, what can I do? Who do I trust? Who can I talk to? Who can I see? And I'll pass you on to these pages. Join these pages. Watch these pages. Learn more from them. Like and share and let others know in your community, because eventually what's going to happen, I'm telling you why this. Because now that BLC 36 has been passed, Facebook is going to be a lot harder, and a lot of people are going to be royally booted out of Facebook because they're speaking their mind regarding our government. Because the government passed that bill for one reason. They're calling it for your safety. And it's a health concern. It's not for our safety. It's for their reputation. Okay? So they're protecting their reputation. Nick McDonald, great app. Derek and Rob Mercury's are great channels on many channels. Great information and people there. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Nick. Really appreciate it. So like I'm pointing out, folks, like good friend. I'll pass on to Rob Mercury's page. Oh, this guy, he's a remote viewer like myself. He's got his way, how he does it, but he's fantastic. He's ex-military, both him and his wife. Mix, again, that's his wife's name, Mix. Great people. I always enjoy their company, and I love having them on my show. They like to share great information, what's going on. Here's something here. They're in South Africa, and they have to go through a shutdown, a close down of power, like no lights, no power for hours. Like they're saying, well, someone actually in the government says, well, there's a generator that's all messed up. It's not a generator. The government's actually shutting it down because they can't control the people from sharing information in the nighttime. But in the daytime, when Rob has his opportunity, he makes it happen. So, Vivian, yeah, we're all expecting. I've been kicked out so many times. Even they tried to lower my feed to people. They can't lower it any lower because it comes to the point if no one's going to unable to find me or do anything on Facebook Live, I will be on Telegram Live. Okay, because Telegram, you can go live on Telegram as well. That's why I'm trying to get people to go there, because you can go Telegram Live. You can they have greater advantages there just as much as this Facebook. Facebook actually has changed its programming. Down the road, what Facebook is going to do, Facebook is actually going to charge you money. Now, they've talked about this. They put that little scare tactic in there before, but they actually talked about it. Apparently, it's supposed to be about $14 or some odd a month. They're going to charge you to utilize or use Facebook. Now, if it's going to be financially usable for you, Yes, I would say yes. Very much like having a website. If it's working for you, but if it's not, then why are you there? It's like you got your Instagram, you got your TikTok, you got your whatever else other sites. I don't use Snap anymore. I try to use Snap and it just snapped me out of the room. Let's see. Beaman says I've been in dead book restrictions so many times I stopped counting. I know. There are so many people that actually got medals. There's actually a photograph of a guy who's got medals, says Facebook medals. He's Colonel, Admiral, General, whatever. He's, yeah. You can only go so far with a joke or two. But yes, thank you, Nick. If you want to find out anything about regarding Rob Mercury, he actually is on Rumble. Rob Mercury. Okay, that's his real last name, by the way, folks. And go on Rumble and find out. Okay, I do have my stuff on Rumble too. I have my recorded programs on Rumble. In fact, I have a young man who was accused of being part of a invasion into the White House. You may know who he is. They called him the Shaman. Okay, well, a couple years ago, I recorded one of his interview stories that he was letting know who he really is. He actually is from the Navy. He actually is Navy, folks. So, yeah, he actually was sent by Trump to experience what it's like to be in the White House, and he went in there and he got escorted around by the officers that were there. He didn't harm anybody, didn't do nothing wrong, no break-ins or nothing. But someone made up a green screen to make it look as if he was actually the leader of all the problems, and then they charged him, and he was supposed to be serving 4 years in prison. Well, to be honest with you, I can tell you right now, he's not there. Okay, he's home, so he's not in prison. But they want you to think that. Okay. Anyways, let's see. Yeah. So, anyways, watch the program. I recorded it and I placed it on my Rumble page. I just had look for, Derek White Sky Cloud. You'll find it. You can't miss me. Anyways, and like I said before, have fun, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go, and you guys have a great weekend coming up here. Lots of us to do, and what can I say? What else we got to do? More things to talk about next week. Anyways, be good. Be good to each other. If anybody's interested in wanting to get a reading, you're more than welcome to call me and to make an appointment. I do that as well. Go to my website, whiteskycloud.com. And anything else on top of that? Yes. Happy birthday, Mick. Yeah, 32nd birthday, right, Mick? And you can't even say it. You can't even say it. Just double that. That's actually a who actually said that. Jack Benny said it was 34th birthday. Every year was 34th birthday. He's always 39. He's every year Jack Benny would say I'm 39. Yeah, just turned 39. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. Be good to each other. May God be with you all, and we'll talk to you guys next week. And we got lots of things to talk about. So take care.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world for all the night. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one tide, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all we gotta live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Is any time gonna stop time? Isn't it time Mother, stop crying. Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one heart, with one need, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, in peace. All right, peace, peace together.